Hey, F50 Women. Thank you so much for tuning in. Today, I am here with Lynn Bowman, and I'm so very excited for you to learn and hear about her and her story and what she's got to share with us. Just to give you a little background, she worked with Silicon Valley as a creative director. She has won national awards. She was a creative director for E.J. Gallo Winery, advertising manager at Redken Laboratories. What else? She's worked with various other positions in agencies in San Jose, Los Angeles, and East Coast. She's been all over. She's worked as an actress, a makeup artist, a screenwriter, an illustrator. Her resume is wide and long. And some of you who are listening, maybe you already know who she is and you've seen her and heard her already. But those who haven't, I can't wait for you to learn more about her. Welcome. Thank you so much for being here. I will just say, just to give everybody, so those of you who have known her, those of you who don't know her, all of that I shared with you, she is doing something a little bit different now. It's going to be very interesting. I think she's sharing the gift of diabetes. I don't know. I'm not going to say, Lynn, thank you for being here and welcome.
Thank you. I am tickled to be here. So excited. And one of the things that COVID has meant for me, and I know a lot of you all, is I need to be at the table with women. I need to talk to my friends. And if you haven't already discovered it, I hope you will discover that that's where all the wisdom is. That's where all the really smart stuff is.
Yes.
At the kitchen table with your girlfriends.
Yes.
What would we do if we didn't have our dear friends and new friends? A thing I absolutely love about women, like Julie and I were talking before we pressed the button, I already know I love you. It just takes seconds. We see each other, we reach out. That's what we're made for. That's what we do. And I don't know if this is visual or not, if we're doing video, but I have on my University of Nevada at Reno Wolfpack hat today.
Okay.
Because I have a grandson 10 days old who was born in Reno. So I hope you see the glow of a woman with her second grandchild. Thrilled.
Wow, congratulations.
Thank you. And it's a miracle. And I also want to connect with women who, like I experienced infertility. I didn't think I could have children. My daughter, youngest, is a medical. She had breast cancer and she's 43 years old. And she just had her first baby. And
yes,
how exciting is this? And then another thing that was extremely exciting was watching my daughters support each other in this birth. I was not in the room this time because COVID, they wouldn't let me in. They let one person. So it was my other daughter who was with her sister. Ladies, if you have sisters, you know what I'm talking about. If you have daughters, you know what I'm talking about. It's such a special bond. And if you don't have blood sisters, go find the sister you need and become a sister. That's what we need. Sisterhood.
It doesn't have to be, it doesn't have to be born.
No,
it could be built.
It's to be built. And so when you mention diabetes, I hope you're referring to my new book, which is called Brownies for Breakfast, a cookbook for diabetics and the people who love them.
Okay, so, before we get there, because you're getting ahead of me,
sorry.
which I love. There's no problem. I love it. But I'd love to know about you as a younger woman, just so we can understand how you got to this book, how you got to be where you are. So tell us about you.
Oh, honey. We had overnight guests and we just sat at the table talking about what it was like to be a 20-year-old. And I graduated from high school in 1964.
Okay.
The world changed that year.
Yeah.
Big changes. My mother died in 1964.
Wow.
And so, and that's a thing that, as many of you know, affects your whole life. And so as an 18-year-old, I was at UCLA at the time, And I suddenly was free.
Mm.
My mother had been ill for a long time. Her early death, I think, has a lot to do with what I'm doing now, because I saw what chronic disease does to a family. I saw what losing a mother does to a family. I saw financially what chronic disease does to a family.
Yeah.
So I won't shut up about that. I mean,
Please don't. Yeah.
it's as a country, we should not be ruining families because of ill health. We should be supporting each other
Yes.
financially and health wise.
Yeah.
So what I talk about is how to keep from becoming ill. And if you are ill, how to get better.
Yeah.
It sounds so stupid and simple, but as a country, we are poisoning ourselves, poisoning our children, and we kind of seem unaware that it's a decision that we make.
Yes.
You decide whether you're going to be healthy or not. In many cases, we can't fix what's wrong. You know, I'm not suggesting that everything is fixable, but something, and I give the statistics in the book and I talk about them. The statistics are not important, except that as a country, we are diabetics, we're obese, we're having a terrible epidemic, not only of COVID, but we have been building up to this epidemic with our children. Our children are sick.
Yeah.
They have plaque all through their veins.
Yeah.
They are eating crap.
Yeah.
We are eating crap. People are
more so than we did when we were younger.
Well, and I have to say, having grown up in the 50s, our moms were all excited about being able to get packaged food.
Yeah.
Yeah, to go into the market and get food that had a wrap around it and so on. And they didn't have to make everything from scratch. And that was the beginning of the downhill slide of American health.
Yeah.
So, and then fast food came along.
Okay.
And then women became liberated thanks to people like me. Sometimes I'm sorry, but suddenly women are all working. I'm someone who raised 3 children as a single woman.
Okay.
And many of you all are in that situation or have been in that situation. And in my case, my next book is going to be All the Lies I Had to Tell.
Oh, I love it.
To get through this man's world. And I had a moment where I went, my children are not going to starve. We are not going to live we are not going to be destitute. I'm going to do what I need to do, which is that not kind of every woman at some point?
Yeah, at some point. Absolutely. Yes.
I had grown up in a nice little middle-class home in Southern California with a very nice family. I didn't even know that there were men out there who did those things. Like a lot of girls at that time and my age. So it came as quite a shock. And in my late 20s, I married a man who was tall and good looking, and he'd been a Marine, and he wore a 3-piece suit, and he was a banker. But what I didn't realize was he had come back from the Vietnam War, changed his clothes on the plane, and become his other self.
Okay.
And so we quickly had 3 children. I was thrilled. I didn't think I could have, and here I was having these babies.
Yeah.
And in a matter of 3 years, he unraveled.
Yeah.
He became violent. He was addicted. I knew that my children and I wouldn't live if I didn't find a way out. And I had no experience with alcoholism, with drug addiction, with any of this. I came from this, very kind of straight and narrow background. And I didn't know what to do. And it was my sister who said in a phone call one day, get out.
Okay.
Get the kids, get what you can carry, and get out. And so I did. I lied to him. I lied to a lot of people. We took what we could carry and got on a train in North Carolina and came across the country on a train. My kids sleeping on the floor, on newspaper, me, you can imagine the thoughts going through my head. I remember the scene of finally getting to Reno, Nevada, and then going up the hill on this train and reaching the top of the Sierras and looking down the spine of the Sierras, and some kid rode up on his pony and rode along the train. And I just thought, I'm going to make it. I'm home. I'm all right. I've got my kids. We'll be okay. So, lived in her driveway in a camping trailer. Again, many of us homeless.
Yeah.
Nothing except a sister who loved me.
Wow.
So you do what you need to do. I had been working at that point quite a bit as a copywriter and creative.
Yeah.
And so I took my book, which is what they call it, and I pretended to be looking for an advertising agency for my sister's company. Okay. And looked up the agencies that I thought were good. And I went to each of them and talked to them. And this was 1980. So the Silicon Valley was just blowing up. It was all of a sudden they couldn't get people to do all the things they needed them to do. And so we would have a conversation and they would and say, well, so you're a copywriter yourself? And I'd say, yeah, I am. Uh-huh. And well, are you interested in doing freelance work? Oh, maybe.
Okay.
Yes.
Got to play it cool. Yeah.
Yes. And so I managed and I had no idea how much they were paying for this stuff. And all of a sudden here we were then, and just, managed to weasel ourselves into a rental house and, and wait for the book. I'll tell the details.
Yeah.
We survived, and my children are all now in their 40s. They all have advanced degrees. They're fine. And I now have 2 grandchildren, which is the most thrilling thing ever. Yeah. Ladies, if I can do it, you can do it. I mean, you can do it. We can all do it. We can take whatever the heck it is we have and package it somehow.
Yeah.
And get there.
So how did you get the nerve, the creativity? How did you get that thing that got you to put this book together and go do what you did and survive and thrive?
Well, I've always my whole adult life I've written, and I started out as a creative director. I was an art major in school, but there were always other people who seemed better than me at that. But I could never find anyone who could write the words that I thought. I think I was sort of born to be an advertising person, a communicator. I'm a big believer in, some of us have voices that can sing beautifully. Some of us, can move their dancers. I was a talker and a writer. And I never, at home, I was the youngest child, so I got ignored a great deal. Okay. And my mother was sick. So I got ignored a great deal, and I took myself all around. I did. So no one ever told me I couldn't, and I think that's huge. I was always cheeky and nervy, and I had trouble in school because I was cheeky and nervy, and I was bored. I was like, I want to go do something. And I love seeing children in school now. I mean, moms and dads are starting to understand that we don't all belong on our butts in a classroom. Yes. Yeah. That's not necessarily the way
for everyone. Yeah.
No. And I love working with my hands. I love making things and building buildings and designing rooms and all those things. And those are things that have a certain amount of classroom requirement, but they're things that you learn with your uncle, your granddad, your neighbor, your friends. And we have so splintered our communities so that we're not, and I talk in my book about, it's about food to a great extent, because I do think that that's key for all of us to start feeding ourselves with more thought than we give to our pets. You see people in the pet store, spending all kinds of money and time and concern with their German Shepherd.
Yes, that is so true.
Crap.
Yeah.
So that's a whole thing.
Yeah.
But it's also, Julie, about sitting down with your family, with your friends as a child. And as a child being required to pick up your dish and take it into the kitchen and to serve your friends and to pass the plate. And I see that being missing in a lot of families.
Yeah.
The kids going to Mandarin and they're going to martial arts and they're doing all these things. They don't know how to load a dishwasher. They don't know how to put plates on the table. Okay, I'm an old battle axe. I'll
you get them.
own that.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
But I want to see children and husbands and everybody helping in the kitchen, cooking joyfully, sharing food, watching what other people are eating and what's working for them. And you can't do that with a screen in front of your face. You can't do that with a bag sitting in a car.
Right.
It has to be. And you see behind me, there's a table. And it's one of several in my house because I have a thing about tables and chairs. I want you to come into my house and have a chair and have a table. I'm lucky to have a house, and I know how lucky I am to have a house. And I love sharing it. But how else can we, and I have a magnolia tree in front of my house, which is our COVID meeting room out there.
Okay.
So community stuff has been happening out. I have a little table and chairs out there under my magnolia tree.
Yeah.
Because you have to face each other.
Yes.
Right? You can't just sit side by side and relate. So sorry, grandma through and through. I'm on my second grandchild and I am grandma all the way now.
And I love this idea of creating a culture. You're really inspiring me with friends, with grandchildren, because the screens have really taken over, to make a place and have everybody, even guests, come in, help me set the table. I'm having a vision of sort of an old movie where everybody's engaged in the kitchen and talking and drinking and enjoying each other and learning something about you that I wouldn't learn in front of a TV or a movie or something electronic. So you talk about kitchen table culture, community, and the gift of diabetes. So I guess you should just start by telling us about the book and telling us more about what is driving all of this.
Well, the gift of diabetes is that I learned in my 40s that I was diabetic, that I had type 2 diabetes. I was not horrible, but my numbers were bad. Okay. And I knew that because my first child, my son, weighed 10 pounds. And so after he was born, C-section, emergency C-section. After he was born, they said, and in those days, the men, it was all men, the obese, all men. And they all claimed they knew everything about babies. And I can tell you, absolutely, they didn't. So they told me that that was an indication that I had gestational diabetes.
Okay.
So sure enough, and they said, that's an indication that you will have type 2 diabetes when you're in your 40s or so. Okay. And so when I hit my 40s or so, I started saying, because we women were always having to go to the obstetrician and all that stuff. So there were doctors in my life. And I said, don't you want to test me? No, you're not obese. You're fine. You're good. Well, but they said, but shouldn't I? Finally talked someone into giving me a hemoglobin A1C test. Everyone listening, if you have not been tested, even if you're perfect and your body is perfect and everything, please just get tested. If you're in your late 30s and your early 40s, get yourself a hemoglobin A1C test as part of whatever healthcare you have. Yeah. So that will tell you what your blood glucose is over a period of time. Okay. And sure enough, I tested into diabetic territory. So I began and I asked for a blood glucometer, and they'd say, you don't need to do that. It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah, you're good.
You're good. And so it took me a year. And because my mother had died young, and because of what I've already said, that I didn't want that happening to other families, and I was a single provider for 3 children, I was not gonna get sick. I was not gonna leave them. I was determined to do whatever I had to do to be there for them. And so I began researching all this, and that took me on the path of a few medicals out there who were beginning to understand how to treat yourself with diet and exercise and so on. But what I read from the American Diabetes Association and the America, the big organ, it didn't quite sound right to me.
Okay.
And sure enough.
And what were those kind of things? What were those kind of things you were reading? Like,
measuring your carbohydrates this way and limiting your sugar to so much and so on and so forth. Okay. Because the assumption was always that you were going to be eating Cheetos and Cheerios and, Wonder Bread.
Right.
And that's not the way you get well. I can tell you that right now.
Okay.
So it was a kind of a long progression of things. And then the more I learned and I started writing about it, my first book came out in 2010. No, in the 90s, late 90s.
Okay.
My superpower as a mom, and many of you will identify with this, I know how to put a meal on the table in 15 minutes.
Okay.
I know how to come screeching into the driveway, hit the kitchen, get the kid, so on and in 15 minutes, there's good food on the table.
Yeah, that might be a skill that's getting lost.
It's getting lost.
Yeah. Now it's McDonald's or a bag or something. Yeah.
And y'all are driving through, and it's not the same thing. It is not the same thing. No. If you're not cooking, if you're not preparing the food for your loved ones, whoever they are, it's not good food. It's not healthy food. Right. There are a few exceptions.
Or it's not even food sometimes.
Not even food.
The stuff you get, it's not even actually food. It's
not even food.
Yeah.
So I am fully well aware of how overburdened families are, especially mothers. It's all over all the papers and everything. It was moms who really took the hit in COVID. It's always moms that take the hit because they're the ones who go, well, that's all right, honey, I'll take care of it. I'll bring
my language. I always say that. Yeah.
I'll do it. And because we know how. And by the way, can we never again elect anyone to any public office who can't change a diaper, scrub a floor, make a meal? I'm not kidding. If you
prerequisite, like a test.
I think it should be a public test. Line them up and go, okay, here's 5 ingredients, make a meal. Okay, here's a bed, make the bed. Okay, here's a floor, it's disgusting. What would you do?
Yeah.
If you haven't got the skills, the living skills, the caregiving skills, how in the world can you possibly be making laws for me and my family?
Right.
And I have been an elected official.
Okay.
To the lowest, elected official in the land, and that's a school board member.
Okay, but important, very important stuff.
Love going out to all of you who've done this or tried to do this. It is thankless and utterly miserable in most ways, but somebody has to do it.
Yeah.
It's, and now what's in the paper, you all have read this about how people are being harassed and threatened because they're on school boards.
Yeah.
So and I'm digressing terribly because we've got so much to talk about.
Yes. Yeah, we're talking about your book. So this, you found out you had type 2 diabetes.
Yes.
And so how did you get from there to saying, I'm going to go out and I'm going to do something about this? We know the motivation with your mom, and we know that you really forced them to show you what your numbers were because you wanted to live. Yeah.
So I was all over it and have been all over it ever since, and have had so many medicals say to me, you're good. You don't need to worry about this. Well, you know why I was good? Because I was eating the way I was eating and exercising the way I was exercising, and so on. And it wasn't particularly what any of them had prescribed to me.
Okay.
And now I understand, and I'll tell you a little story. It's in the book. I had the book partially written, and I got this notion, I saw a notification that there was going to be a plantricians conference in Oakland, California.
Okay.
I don't know why. And Joy, I suspect you're someone who believes in these things. I had somebody on my shoulder going, you need to go to that. You need to do that. And I listened.
Okay.
And so I put a lot of money. I'm very frugal. And that was a big check I wrote. Okay. And I showed up, and from 8 a.m. until 8 o'clock at night for 5 days, I watched PowerPoints, data from 1,000 MDs from all over the world. Okay. Who were there because they were renegades in a way. They believe in preventing and healing with food. Yeah. Which is something that the American Medical Association doesn't talk about, right? No. So these courageous people got up on stage, and some names that you might know. Dean Ornish has talked a long time about reversing heart disease. T. Colin Campbell, do you know his work or his book?
Nope. That one I don't know.
Brilliant research. And so these were guys that I had read and followed and thought I want more from them. And so here they were. I'm sitting at a little table and I'm watching them for the whole day. And they are talking about opening up 8, 9-year-old kids sometimes who need surgery, and their veins are full of plaque. It would bring tears to your eyes. That it's a real widespread, devastating problem. And they also talked about their success stories, healing people with food and lifestyle. And so it validated me in many ways, but then there was a new bit of information, huge revelation that I did not know, that changed my life and changed my book. And that was that, excuse me, that was that I had always been told that it was about carbs. And most
that's what we believe. Yeah. Well, I say in my family. Yeah.
Right. And sugar. And I knew
carbs
that
and sugar. Yeah.
Right. And I had controlled my carbs. And the way I did that was eating a lot of meat and dairy. Yeah. And so here they were saying, guess what? The actual cause for the glucose in your blood not being able to get into your cells is that your cells are surrounded by animal fat because you have been eating.
No, don't tell me that. I just finished eating some bacon.
Honey?
It's so hard because I always go back and forth between, should I just be vegan? Should I do keto? What should I do? I want to lose weight. I want to be healthy. And there's just so much.
Okay. So, yeah, I got answers for you. Get my book.
Please.
A, it's in the book. And B, I had never met a pork chop I didn't like.
Oh, goodness gracious.
I was a meat eating fool. All my life, I was that little teeny kid who went, no, give me your meat. I'll eat it. And so I get in the car. And by the way, the food at this plantricians conference was not good. So I'm going, you guys are all talking about eating.
Yeah, how ironic is that? Yeah.
And, y'all need a grandma to come in here and show you how to do the vegetables, because this is not how we do vegetables. Yeah. I'll be back, So I get in the car after this 5 days of having my mind blown. And my husband picked me up, the sweetheart, drove up to Oakland to get me. I get in the car and I said, that thing that no man ever wants to hear. I said, guess what?
Uh-oh.
And he said, what? And I said, I'm a vegan now. And he said, there was a little pause.
Yeah, I was going to say, there's probably some airspace.
He's driving along. Yeah. And he said, okay, I'm in.
Well, okay.
Which also, ladies, if you don't have a man and you're looking for one, hold out, okay? Until you find that one that says, okay, I'm in.
Yes.
And we agreed that for 6 months, and I had just had my numbers done, so I knew what my hemoglobin A1C was and my other numbers. And I said, for 6 months, I am going to do this, and I'm going to see. I'm going to be my own guinea pig, and I'm going to just see. And I did, and he did. And it was very interesting. Several things happened. One, he was so pleased because his waist suddenly shrank.
Yes.
Right? He's like,
I'm looking pretty good. Yeah.
Good. And two, we had never eaten so well because all of a sudden I'm just doing all of these things to try and make our plates beautiful. And you're eating all this color.
Yeah.
And you're having all this spice and the textures. And when you take the brown and beige off your plate, you don't believe me, Julia, right now, but you will. You will be a convert.
Yeah, help me out. Yeah.
When you take the brown and beige out of your eating life, what happens? It's beautiful color on your plate. And as humans, as large primates, we actually respond to that very well. We love color in food. Yeah. And we want fragrance in food. Yeah. And and no one out there probably is going to believe me when I say that arugula smells fabulous. I mean, when you go out and pull arugula out of your little garden or out of a pot and cut it and put, it's like perfume. It's wonderful. Try that with meat.
It's a whole different thing. Yeah.
It's a different thing. And my kitchen is so much cleaner. My house is so much cleaner. There's the work in the kitchen ends up being easier. Yeah. So there are lots of reasons, but here's the big one. I went back and had my blood retested and everything in 6 months, and went to see my physician, who very patient, long suffering, who's been arguing with me, right, all these years.
Right.
And guess what? My hemoglobin A1C was down 3 points.
Okay.
And she said, Lynn, this just doesn't happen in women your age. Yeah. And if anyone doesn't know, I'm 75 now. I'm loving it, proud of it. And she said,
and we wouldn't be able to tell for those who can't see unless she told you.
Well,
hello.
My message is, if you want to continue to make trouble for people, you gotta eat right. You have to prepare. And I hope to be making trouble for people for a long time. And she was impressed. I'm not sure if she believed it, but
hold on. Repeat that, because you fuzzed out a little bit. Internet connection was unstable. It might've been mine.
Okay.
So if you want
to stay alive and keep making trouble for everyone, you have to do the work. And so my hemoglobin A1C had come down. She said that never happens in people your age, like being my age is a bad thing.
This is the end.
And I so love that that's your focus. Girls, life gets so much better after 50.
Yes.
It's so much better.
Yes.
I am so much happier than I have ever been in my life.
Yeah.
And we eat very well. We just don't eat meat. Yeah. We eat some fish. We eat salmon. I live on the coast, so we can get very nice fresh salmon and shrimp. But and this book that I did, I wanted it to be a kind of a transitional book for people who know they should be eating more vegetables and know that they.
That's me.
Okay. I make it easy. The recipes in there are things, my brownies for breakfast, my brownies are made from pumpkin and nut butter. No sugar, no oil, no flour.
That's beautiful, because you know what? I love brownies.
Who doesn't love a brownie? And I guarantee you that I could show up at any church supper anywhere.
Yeah.
Okay. And slap my brownies down and not tell anybody. And people would be coming to my table saying, oh, Lynn, your brownies are so good. Oh, really? There's no sugar in them. There's no oil. There's no flour. They're vegan.
Definitely love you now. I'll tell you why. Because every week, every Monday, I say to myself, it's not so bad to eat chocolate. Why can't I just have some chocolate in my life?
Julia, you can have all the chocolate you want. Chocolate is good food.
Okay.
The trick is what you do with it. Other recipes in my book are donuts that you make in your oven.
Okay.
That are killer in the good way, right?
Yes.
Not killer in the bad way.
Yeah, not in the heart clogging way. Yeah.
And I've said to a number of people, and I'll say it again, if you have a child or a 90-year-old that you're having trouble feeding, and you wave a pink donut with sprinkles in front of them,
Yeah.
I promise you, they'll eat it. And what will they have just eaten? Pumpkin and nut butter and chickpea flour and all this good stuff. It's just knowing how to do it. And we don't fry them, you bake them, but that means you can do them at home in your oven. All you need is a donut pan, which you can get online or
Right.
a store that sells cooking things. So your children are not going to complain when all of a sudden here's this plate of donuts on the table.
Oh, goodness, no, they won't complain at all. Yeah.
No. And it's
Especially if
great.
they're not green.
Well, we do a matcha donut that's green, that's gorgeous, but that one is not my book. But I invite everybody to sign up on my website, lynnbowman.com. It's LYNNEBOWMAN. And I am putting out, I'm not great about doing my recipes regularly yet, but I try and get them out because I want you all eating this food. I want you to taste what fabulous, healthy food tastes like if you haven't tasted it. Okay. You are gonna have to spend a little time in the kitchen, not a bunch, but somebody has to chop something once in a while.
Right.
And I have recipes for family folks where you can make like genius soup once a week. And then you do a twist on it Monday, another twist on it Tuesday, another twist on it Wednesday. You've got food for the week.
For the week.
And it's all your veggies in there and lots of smoothie recipes. I want you all to know how to eat dark greens 3 times a day. You're horrified. I know you are. You're good.
I am. I'm just shaking my head. Like, okay. Time to go.
Okay.
Time to hang up.
Okay. No, I promise you, with smoothies, you can hide all kinds of nutrition in a smoothie. Yeah. Your kids won't know it's there. Your senior, you won't even know it's there.
Yeah.
It's fantastic. You take out of your freezer frozen peas, frozen spinach, you toss them in there with some tofu and chocolate.
Tofu in a blend, do you mean?
Yes, in a smoothie.
Oh, that's new.
And it tastes like creamy. It's wonderful.
Okay.
So none of this is punishment.
Right.
It's learning that you can eat better, more delicious food if you just stretch a little bit out there and stop eating crap.
Yeah.
No more
but do you
crap.
find it's going to be a really, like you said, we're fighting against it. Isn't it going to be a real heavy lift for somebody to get their hands around the concept of vegetables and mixing tofu, and colorful plates are great. I just want my bacon, my nice sort of burnt bacon.
Okay, here's the thing.
So people are going to have to bend their minds and
a little bit. And here's the thing. And this was part of the scientific part of the background of the book.
Good.
Things like your saliva will change. Your body chemistry is going to change. Okay. You don't believe me, but you will. Yeah. At some point you go, Lynn, you were so right about this.
Yeah. I'll scream it. Yeah.
I smelled bacon the other day. Someone cooked bacon and I could barely manage to smell it. It smelled horrible. And what I want now is the greens, the colorful. That's what my saliva is now tuned to want. That's your great. Body chemistry changes.
Yeah. I want that.
You will have that. And you have to have the faith that just get yourself in there, try some of this stuff.
Yeah.
Give yourself say, okay, for 1 month, I'm going to do this, whatever you're willing to go all the way and do. Okay. And of course, stuff is coming out all the time now. I do eat the impossible burgery, beyond burgery stuff, the phony little, I eat it less and less. It's kind of a good transition to get into the less meaty way of eating.
Okay.
The thing that I crave, that I really want, I'd eat it every day if it weren't so damn expensive. Salmon.
Yeah. Salmon is delicious.
And I'm sorry, Sam. I those beautiful fish taking them out. I don't love that fish losing its life for me, but it is so nutritious, so delicious, and I have a way of cooking it that's so easy.
Yeah,
it's so easy, and it doesn't stink up the house. It's delicious. You can do this, and the reason you will do this is because if you don't do this,
Yeah.
and we don't have an audience of men, but I love to say to them, you will lose erectile function, honey.
Yeah.
Is that okay with you?
Yeah. No, I don't think it's okay with any of them.
No, no. And there's
And not
also,
some of us either.
your body can't sustain for a long and healthy life unless you do the things for it that it needs.
Right.
And once you see the research and the statistics about people who eat a lot of vegetables and people who don't, guess what?
You pick that one. Yeah.
That's the one I want.
That's the one I want.
That's the one I want. Right. And we can all do this. It's not a mystery anymore. You can absolutely do it. There's a little story in the book about what got me actually writing the book. And that is, my youngest is a nurse practitioner.
Okay.
And so of course we're talking about this stuff all the time. And her specialty is gerontology, older people.
Okay.
And she said, Ma, I treated a guy today. He came in and he was getting ready to have his leg amputated.
No.
And he was a vet, like their dad had been. And she said, so my heart went out to him, and we talked, and I said, my mom's writing a book, and she wants to help people with diabetes so that they won't lose their limbs anymore.
Yes.
And she said he cried. He said, please ask her to write that book. I wish I'd had that book.
Wow.
I wrote the book.
Yes.
And I want everybody I don't want anyone to have to lose their limbs or their functions. And diabetes is a silent,
oh my gosh, yes,
not just killer, it destroys,
slowly destroys. Yeah.
Destroys you from the inside out.
Yes.
As does heart disease, but heart disease is more obvious, and diabetes is sneaky. Yeah. And by the time you in your 60s or 70s, and particularly the men who won't go and won't be seen, by the y'all, if you know your men, that's the deal. Yeah. By the time you are seen and you have this diagnosis, it's been at work for a long time, causing great destruction. Yeah. So the way to not have to lose your limbs or to not be sidelined while your grandchildren are playing, to remain on your feet and mean as a snake, you have to eat your veggies. Yeah. So
now, have you, since you wrote, when was this book written? Has it been years? Is it very new?
No, it's fairly new. It was out in May, June. Okay. And it's on, you can download it. So it's very inexpensive that way if you want to download it. Good. And I would encourage you to do that and look at it. But I wrote it, I collaborated with a designer friend of mine that worked on my last book. So it's very visual.
I like that.
I wanted it to be inviting and fun and not grim. I wanted people to enjoy the book. Wow, this is fun. And I love hearing from people. I love getting pictures from people who are making the stuff and hearing the stories about how it's going.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask, if you have a lot of feedback on how it's going and the transitions people have made and any of that.
Not as much as I'd like.
Okay, not yet. Yes, not yet. I'm going to be reading the book for sure. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah,
so do you need more tools when you eat this way and cook this way, or is it even? People are going to be worried about the money to do it, and I don't have the stuff.
First, you're saving money. I am saving you money because you're not buying $15 a pound hamburger.
Yeah.
Right. I mean, meat has gone, and dairy products. And I haven't even started on dairy products. Don't get me started on dairy products. I don't want you eating any of them.
Okay. None.
Why?
I have to get you started. Why not?
I'll tell you why.
Okay.
Now that you ask.
Yes, please. I want to know because I love some cream in my coffee.
The dairy industry, the factory dairy industry is producing milk that is poisonous in many ways. They're creating pollution that is horrible. The cows are treated miserably. They're
I've heard
filled
about that.
full of hormones and chemicals. All those hormones and chemicals, whether they, you read the package, it's like, we love our cows. No, you don't. No. If you have a neighbor who has a cow whose name go ahead.
Yeah.
Drink the milk.
Drink the milk.
But know that milk from that cow was designed by nature to make a tiny little calf become a 2,000-pound bull in a few weeks.
Yeah.
So if you are not interested in becoming a 2,000-pound bull, I would suggest that there are other things that are much better for you.
Yeah.
I love cheese. Oh my gosh, do I love cheese?
Me too. Mm-hmm.
Yeah. And the thing that I cheat, we all have things.
Yes, we do.
A truly beautiful cheese where I know the women who are making the cheese and I know the goats and so on. I'll have that.
Okay.
But anything that you buy in a carton with ingredients on it, no.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
When you don't eat that, you are not only saving your family, yourself, you are a friend of the earth. Because those factory farms, and if you're not an activist about anything yet, please understand that what you buy and eat has a huge effect. If you don't know about the horrible pollution from the bacon, from the pork.
Yeah, we just don't pay attention to that. Yeah, we just go to the grocery store.
It's really an awful story. And the way to fix it is to not buy those things. Yeah. And they will feel it and they will change. So yeah.
And even if we have to have less of healthy is better than an abundance of poison.
Well, but what I'm trying to get people to understand is if you come to my house, I guarantee you will not go away hungry and you will not go away thinking she can't cook, food's not good. I mean, I am a lazy cook. I'm not the greatest cook in the world, but I can take some fava beans that we grew right here on the hill, bring them into the kitchen, and in 20 minutes, you will have a meal that you'll go, oh my gosh.
That's what I want. Yes. That has taste and flavor. Yeah.
Really good. Yeah. And it's just a little parsley and a little lemon. And we buy, I can give you some brand names. There is a Kite Hill brand out now that has wonderful vegan butter and vegan creamy cheeses. You won't like all of them, but taste them and see what you think. They have a veggie dip made with that. We found it really wonderful. Yeah. And there are, I can't think of me on my website. I need to list some of those. I can tell right now. Yeah. But you will not give up.
Figure out what to choose. Yeah.
The thing about the vegan butters is, okay, everybody in the room who has had truly fresh butter churned and then tasted it right after, raise your hand. Anybody? I'm not seeing any hands. If you have ever tasted really fresh butter from a sweet cow, who the vegan butter tastes more like that than the packaged butters that you buy at the grocery store in the refrigerator. Okay. The vegan butters taste better. The butter that you buy in the grocery store is not fresh. It can't be fresh. They can't get it out there fast enough. Really fresh. Yeah. And I love good butter and have spent some time in France and, have eaten my share of very fatty things, butter-laden things. Who doesn't love the taste of butter, but really fresh butter? Yeah. Oh my gosh. Yeah. Try the vegan butters. They're great. They're really good. Okay. So you're saying, how do I give? And in the book, I spend a lot of time talking about equipping your kitchen, your table. It's all stuff you can buy in the thrift store. The only thing you can't buy in the thrift store is maybe the donut pans. Not expensive, but you know what? One trip to Starbucks, guarantee you could have skipped that and bought yourself some donut pans. Right. Yeah. And I want you to buy the donut pans. Yes. And I also tell stories about Starbucks and Pete's, the coffee places. I tend to be the only person in there ever who's buying black coffee.
Yeah. Very few people do that. Yeah.
Mhm.
My husband does that. That's about it.
So what are you getting? You're getting sugar
Yeah.
and dairy products
Lots of dairy products.
or some other mystery kind of milky thing. You don't know what's in that coffee.
Mhm.
And it costs you a bundle, and it's
Yeah.
in a disposable cup that you're throwing away.
Yeah.
So bad, 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 bad.
Yeah.
I want to save you money. I want to save the earth while I'm at it.
Mhm.
And the way you're going to do it
And save people's
is
lives.
and save
Yeah.
people's lives. And, hello, win, 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 right?
Yes. Yeah.
So all I'm asking you to do is
Mhm.
spend a little more time in the kitchen.
Yeah.
And not drive through. Anyway, we can't afford gas anymore to drive through. So
Right. Yeah. It'll save you the gas too. Yeah. So what would you say about raw vegan versus the vegan you're talking about? Is one better than the other? Should it just go completely raw and forget about
do
all
you
the,
want to never have a bowl of my soup? Do you
no,
want to never? Please stop.
I live in New England, so hot
Yeah,
stuff is good, especially this
yeah,
time of year.
yeah. And soup, by the way, and I have a number of soup recipes in the book because Americans don't eat soup. But guess what? It's the most wonderful thing you can do for your body in a
I
way.
love soup. Yeah.
And there are a lot of vegetables that are more nutritious cooked than
Mhm.
they are raw.
Yeah.
So if you want to eat raw, I'm not going to argue with you. Go
Right.
ahead. At least
Right.
you're not chomping on a raw lamb leg.
Yeah.
You're eating fruits and
Hopefully not.
vegetables.
Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they're, I don't know.
Anyway. Yeah.
Anyway, but I'm not. I love some raw foods, but I really love a good soup, and I really love pumpkin bread, and I mean.
Yeah, that's what I was going to ask. Are there any the bread recipes? Is it sort of a vegetable substitute that looks like bread, or do we get any bread?
Yeah,
No more
you
bread.
do. You in the book, I talk about there's, in fact, a very nice picture because it's a beautiful loaf of bread. It's a sourdough walnut bread
Mm,
that I buy from a San Francisco bakery that's famous for their bread.
mhm.
And in limited quantities,
Okay.
I will have a piece of that. And it's full of walnuts, and it is sourdough, which is fermented. And also locally here, we can buy bread like that that's made with wheat that's grown here from real wheat seeds, not sort of the ones that they redesigned and re-engineered to be more productive or something.
Okay.
Where that wheat comes from matters.
Mhm.
And so I won't eat any white bread or any, sort of overprocessed, any kind of bread that I have and then there's a bakery in Santa Cruz that I talk about who makes, so wherever you are,
Right.
if you have an artisanal, some little couple, some gal that's making really great bread from good ingredients, support them, go buy it and eat bread. Not too much, just not too
Okay.
much.
Right.
Where Americans go wrong is they eat bread and meat 3 times, 4 times a day.
And a little snack at night when you're hungry.
Okay, you brought that up. Let's talk
Yes.
for a minute. I talk a lot. Ayurveda is a thing that I've been learning about for a number of years.
Okay.
And one of the things I learned from that I'm now seeing in the medical literature
Mhm.
is that you need to eat when your body is on fire, when your body is warmed up, when your body is ready to digest. And that's the middle of the day. So from 10 in the morning until 4 in the afternoon, roughly,
Right.
is when you're really cooking.
Okay.
And your body's cooking, and then you can digest anything, and it's great, and you can eat anything.
Yeah.
But then you have to do what hardly any of us do, which is stop at 4 or maybe 5.
4 o'clock.
Okay.
Yeah, I hear you. I believe, but
Okay.
goodness.
And what that's going to do is a couple things.
Yeah.
One, if you don't want to lose any weight, don't do this because you're likely to lose some weight.
Okay.
2, your sleep will improve dramatically.
Oh yeah, I need that.
We all need that.
Yeah.
And the reason is because your body can only do so many things at one time. I mean, our bodies are brilliant. They're an amazing design, But your body doesn't want to be digesting all night. It wants to be done. It wants to get that job done, because guess what it does at night?
It rests.
Partly, something even more important, it
Heals.
the only time your body can really heal, cellular healing, is when you're in deep sleep.
Okay.
Everything else gets shut off, and your body goes, okay, all the little secret cells and everything go, okay, pull out the stuff and we're going to heal you. If you've got a hamburger in there or some chips or 3 beers, it can't do what it needs to do to get those bumps on your skin and get the muscles and to do the healing.
You know what, Lynn, I've heard a lot of things about your body, about sleep, about health, about eating, but I don't know if I've ever heard that when you're sleeping, your body is healing. That really changes everything, at least for me, because I'm thinking I'm doing myself a disservice, I'm not getting good rest. And then no wonder everything's starting to break down and fall apart, because I'm always full.
And ladies out there, we are all doing too much. We are all stressed.
Yes.
And it's stress that's really the enemy. You know, the stress is causing you to eat crazy and so if I can send a couple of things home with you, the most important things are these. You have to sleep. You must sleep. You must do what you need to do to sleep. So put your electronics away.
Yes.
Okay. No TV right before bedtime. Have a set bedtime. Do what you would do if you had a child.
Yes.
That you were caring for, that you wanted to be healthy and grow up. Do that love of yourself. And so put everything away, make sleep a ritual, make your room very dark, cool, and as quiet as you can get it. Those are not easy things for everybody. You'll have to work at it. So if there's little red beeping lights anywhere, cover them up, turn them off. A heavy blanket, very heavy. And you can see my jammies, my hoodie, right? And so your sleep should be number one. It should be holy for you. That is the time when you let yourself go for the universe to take care. And the universe will take care if you open the doors for that sleep to occur. Because all this magic that goes on in your cells cannot go on if you've got a belly full of crap that it's trying to take care of. You have to make it possible. So sleep and don't eat too late. Got it?
Yes.
And people now are talking about fasting and intermittent fasting. What you wind up doing is, you're fasting. It's just, you're not eating constantly. Americans eat constantly. Stop eating constantly.
I'm one of those. Yes.
Okay.
And the problem is that the more you eat, the more you want to eat, because, and then if you take the sugar makes you want more sugar. So it's like
you, Julia, you're done with sugar. I mean, done. You're going to eat all the chocolate you want. You're going to have all the vegetables you want. You're going to have good whole grains. Not a problem. No, you're going to cool it on the potatoes.
Okay. I don't mind that. I can get rid of those.
All right. But it's all in the book. And I guarantee you will have a full belly. You will get up from the table going, wow, that was really food.
I'm looking forward to that.
And you'll be fine. But what you do find is you can't drive through. You're not going to be able to get any of this driving through. You have to prepare it. There are some food delivery services now that, will bring you some pretty good stuff. And I'm kind of watching how those are going with people. And if you're desperate and you need help, again, ladies, we do too much. We do everything.
That's what I was going to say. I was going to add that in. It's almost like it's a badge of honor that we're so busy, that I'm so busy. I am doing so many things.
Can we fix that, please?
Yes, we need to, because we're killing ourselves.
Worse than killing ourselves killing yourself means falling over and then you're in another dimension.
Right.
How about not torturing your family? How about not becoming a burden to everyone around you?
Yeah.
How about not being in pain?
Yeah.
How about
I want all of those things. I want all of those things for all of us. Yes.
Yes. And girls, another thing that's fabulous about my life is that I have a little gym that's a neighborhood gym, a group. These women are all friends because we all work out together. And 3 days a week, I am doing Pilates and TRX with darling friends for an hour.
Yeah.
And I walk out of there feeling great. Yeah. I mean, even if and you get up in the morning, you think, I just can't.
Yeah.
And fine for me to say, because I don't have a 9-to-5 of any kind anymore. But if you do have a 9-to-5, you need to find a way to move your buns. And it can be a lot of different things, but it's sitting in our cars and then sitting in offices that is and sugar and dragging through.
All of those things combined. Eating late at night, not sleeping well.
Right.
Yeah.
So
have you found that, how did it change you when you went to the conference, you came, you said, I'm a vegetarian. What changed in you? Vegan. I'm sorry, a vegan. What changed in your body? What changed on your skin? What changed in your mind, your spirit? Tell us about the changes that happened from making that transition.
Well, a lot of practical things I've already mentioned. I love a clean kitchen and
right.
Getting the grease out of the kitchen. I love that. Was great. Yeah. Spirit. I'm a horsewoman and I've got big hairy dogs and so it was important for me to also stop eating my friends in a way.
Okay.
It feels really good.
Okay. Not
to be eating critters anymore. I have already apologized for the salmon that their lives. But it did my spirit a lot of good to think that the earth was going to benefit too.
Going to be better off
from my little thing that I'm doing in my way. As far as how I feel great. And I'm used to feeling great. Okay. Like a lot of folks who aren't 21 anymore. I wish I had more energy. Yeah. By 4:00 this afternoon, right? A lot of my ambition will have washed away.
Right.
And I love to say to people, look at me.
You look fabulous. Well, that's why I was asking, because you're clear and you're bright and your eyes are bright and alive. And I'm thinking, you're what? You're 70 what?
Well,
this is great.
At the risk of being incredibly conceited, I want women to look at me and go, I'll have what she's having. Yes. Right? Yeah. I worked my buns off, girls. I was that person who was too busy, who did too much, who was crazy trying to satisfy everyone. And I still have that thing, just like many of you, most of you do. But I do take care of myself. I sleep. I eat beautifully. What happens too is you just stop needing as much. Yeah. Eating, and I have so many. Sugar is more addictive than heroin.
Absolutely, it is. Oh yes. Yeah, take my sugar from me. I mean, what am I going to do?
Pizza is addictive. It's a highly addictive food. When you stop eating addictive foods, and which brings us to a whole other thing, how those foods are engineered so that you want more.
Yeah.
You're aware of this?
Yes, I am. Yes, I can feel it. And I can't stop it, but I can, and I will.
Right. And in the book, I talk about how to read a nutrition label and a lot of the research behind all of that. Okay. But what happens is you stop being food dependent. And I'm an old lady and I'm a diabetic. And if I don't eat, I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm fine. If I skip a meal,
you won't drop. Yeah.
No, I'm fine. I want everybody to be as mean as I am. I want y'all to. My son spent time in Russia, and when he came back, he started calling me babushka.
Okay.
He loved that the old women on the sidewalk, would get after people who drop trash and so on. And they were sort of in charge of them. And so now I'm babushka. I'm telling you, I want you to be happy and healthy, and I don't want you to litter either.
Yeah. Yes.
No trash. But think about it. When you're not buying packaged foods, that's another thing you're doing.
Think about the whole cycle of what you're doing. Yeah.
No plastic, no paper. And yes, I buy some stuff that's packaged, but way less than I used to. We're very conscious about it, and we're always trying. We have 3 raised beds in front of the house where we have a lot of our food growing. But join a CSA, go to the farmer's market, try hard to buy real food grown by real people who maybe you can meet and you can say hello, who love their
relationships. Broccoli. Yeah.
I mean, this is a thing we need. And many of you have traveled abroad and been to France and England, those places. And it's a ritual to meet your grocer, your produce guy, your fish guy. Yeah. It's a relationship. You trust these people. Yeah. And we've broken that trust here. We've
lost it. Yes. Yeah. Can we get it back though, you think, with our big grocery stores and chain this and chain that? And
how about a horror story?
Yeah.
Why?
Yeah. Sure. If we haven't had enough already. Yes.
What passes as a horror in my life, I never go in the big grocery stores anymore. I just don't, for all the reasons that I've already said. Yeah. But somebody needed something and I needed to get some, and I wound up in a Safeway or a Lucky or something, and walked in and realized, first of all, this place is huge. Yeah. Huge. And I kind of walked to the right. And I walked through a bakery section that seemed like it was about a mile long. Yeah. It's like before you could get anywhere, here's cakes and pies and muffins and everything.
You need one of these because you're probably hungry.
All right. And it smelled kind of sugary and good. And of course, I looked at them knowing there was nothing in that 1.5 miles, 3 acres of stuff that I could eat or would really want to. Yeah. And then I turned the corner and then I went through 2 aisles of alcohol, booze.
Yep.
Okay. And I
go great with that cake.
Right. And so I kept, and then I turned the corner and now here's the ice cream for 2 more aisles. Here's frozen goods, ice cream. Guess where the celery was? Guess where the lettuce and the beets were? They were
all the way at the end
over in the corner. Yeah. And I asked if they had any vegan cheese and the guy had no idea. Yeah. And so then I asked somebody else. They had no idea. I don't know how anybody navigates. We don't have time for this. Who has time to wander through those aisles, picking up package after package, wondering? And I tell the story more than once of trying, because I have a recipe in the book for granola. Okay. Who doesn't love a good granola? Yeah. I do. I love it.
I do. Yeah.
And so I went to the store to find a granola that I could eat. And I lifted every single package. All, how they have some down on the bottom where you can't get it until your butt's sticking out. And so I read the labels on all of them. Yeah. There was not a single granola in that whole huge store that didn't have a lot of sugar in it.
I was going to say, it's got to be the sugar. Yeah.
So in my book is a recipe for granola. It's called very humbly, I named it World's Greatest Granola. Just so you know. And it's simple to make. It smells fabulous when you make it. You'll save money. Yeah. You asked me, is it expensive? No, you are going to save money not buying packaged foods.
Right. Make yourself a bundle of it and then you have it.
Better yet, make your 10-year-old do it.
Even better. It could be a project.
Yes.
A lesson.
And that 10-year-old will then know how to do it and they'll be able to get up and go, it's okay. I'll do it. I'll make that's
it'll be so
the
good
nation
for them.
We want to build, isn't it?
Yes.
Kids who have some confidence at home and kids who understand what they're eating.
Understanding their food.
Yes. Kids who understand where good health comes from. Yeah. Good health is not that overblown football player with the pumped up, with the, making $5 million. That's not good
Right.
health.
Right.
And yet that's what we're asking our kids to worship.
Yeah.
That bothers me.
Mm.
I have nothing against pro athletes. I have had some friends, let's
Right.
say, who were pro athletes, and I loved them dearly. But if you're teaching your children, if you want to teach your children love and life, do it at the table.
Yeah. Yeah.
No phones.
This is really interesting how we've taken, it's like we have, if as you're talking, I'm thinking we have taken the table out of our home. It's almost like you just take the piece of furniture and just put it outside.
People
What's the point
literally
of it?
don't have tables in their homes
Yeah.
so much.
Yeah.
And
Get the
people
bag,
don't,
sit on the couch, turn something on, and let's
people
not eat.
don't have any idea how to set a table. And I'm not talking about kids. I more than once have had fully grown women in my house who've
Mhm.
confessed to me that they're not comfortable setting a table. They don't feel like they know how to set
Okay.
a table.
Yeah.
And there's this idea that it needs to be just so, and the forks. No, but you need to feel comfortable and happy opening your home and your table to your friends and your loved ones.
Yeah. So do you think that those basics of being a woman, now, I don't know if you think these are women tasks, but let's just humor me for a minute. So those
We'll
basics
put it
of
out
being,
there.
yeah, I'll put it out there. So those basics of being a woman, setting the table, making healthy food with your community, your family, understanding how to shop, where to shop, and that being at this local grocery store is part of your community as a woman, sharing your history, sharing your experiences. Do you think that's just not something that we can get back, or is it gone?
No,
How do we transition back to it? And that
I
may be our responsibility as women over 50 to show everybody how to get that back.
really deeply believe that.
Mhm.
Older women have been valued in other cultures,
Yeah.
not in ours.
Yeah.
And
Yeah, we put them over there. Just go over there and sit down. Sit down, Ma. All right. I'll bring you the McDonald's later. Sort of that.
but what we have now, I think, is a generation, and I'm a boomer, right? I mean, I was born in 1946, and so I was on the cusp. I was on the very early end of women who ultimately worked with men in an executive capacity. I was very often the only woman in the room, but the women behind me, there were more and more. And so now we have a couple of generations of women who have been out there duking it out with the guys, who weren't at home. They were at home and at work, doing all of that, both of that. And by the way, my husband cooks, he helps, he cleans, and I don't have a beef about it.
Yeah.
But I see this huge divide happening because men weren't taught, weren't trained. I will also say that my son can clean, cook, take care of kids with the best of them, and I'm proud of that.
Yes.
And he also spent time with a very tough old Korean master in a dojo who had the guys down on their hands and knees cleaning the floor.
Right.
It's something that we don't have enough of in our culture.
I believe so.
I think before you play baseball and before you do, that you need to clean the floor.
Yeah.
That you need to wash your uniform.
Yeah.
That, and I've said to so many women, I do, well, before COVID, I did workshops and things at women's expos. Love doing that with women because I find myself saying to them, you are not the servant, you are the teacher.
Yes. Yes.
Your job is to teach
Yeah.
everyone who is in your house, in your influence, so that when they leave you, they have the skills they need to survive.
Such an important position. And I feel like, at least from my small sphere, that is something that you're almost trying to push away because you don't see it as a teacher. You see it as a subservient sort of maid servant, I want to be boss lady too. So why don't you do it? But it's
Yeah.
such an important role because, like you said, you're teaching and sending. That's what you're putting into the world.
To me, there's a holiness about home,
Yeah.
about beautiful space,
Yeah.
clean space,
Mhm.
clear space.
Yeah.
If you want to do good out in the world, if you want to bring beauty to the world, if you want to bring understanding, start at your kitchen table.
Yeah.
You goddesses out there, you wonderful women who do all this, do it with your men, of course, but take responsibility for not being the servant, for being the teacher.
Yeah.
It's harder. It is harder to teach than to just do.
Yeah. But it's more valuable to teach than to
But
just
it's more
do.
valuable.
Like that fish, give them a fish for a day, kind of fish, teach them how to fish idea. Yeah. I love that. I have been inspired because I have not seen it that way. I will just be honest.
Well, those of us who are multiple moms, those of us, especially in my case, it was just me. You have so much that you have to do.
Yeah.
But I couldn't have done it had I not trained my kids to help.
Yes.
They had to be responsible for all their own stuff, their school stuff, their backpacks, their everything. They knew better than to just come to me and have me fix things because I didn't have time. I couldn't do it.
Yeah.
So I talk about my gift of diabetes. I guess my kids could talk about the gift of not being over-mommed.
Yes. Yes.
Because it was just like, no, you do it. You take care of it.
Yeah.
I'll teach you how, but then you have to do it.
Yeah.
And I see that as a big problem. I mean, we could go on and on. I hope we will. I hope we can talk again. This is so fun for me to think that people are listening that I don't know, that I can't see, but y'all are out there somewhere.
And they need to hear this, really need to hear it, because I know there are a lot of people struggling and hurting. And how do I balance? And how do I stay alive? And why am I so tired? And why am I so sick? And how do we get rid of this diabetes thing that's spreading like a virus? It really was. All of a sudden, I mean, people I knew, I've got diabetes. I was like, what is that? So,
and it can be so lonely.
Yeah.
So lonely. And I have clear memories of literally looking from the outside into a window and seeing lights and seeing a family and going, will we ever be warm and happy and okay and safe and so on? And yes, the answer is yes, we were and we are. And for anyone out there who is feeling that, that's the message. You can be, you will be. Find help, find sisters, find who you need to help you through. But community is the deal. And it is harder now to have community, but it's certainly possible. And you and I are doing it, Julia.
Yeah.
And and again, and I love men. I love heterosexual men, nothing against them, but they're not so good about truly building community most of the time. Yeah. Men don't go up to people and go, hi.
Right.
I love your hat. Right. You look great. Do you live on the street? They don't do that. They're wired differently.
They're just wired different, and that's okay. Yeah.
And they will go out in the middle of the night and get you what you need and fight up literally lions, whatever. We've had them here. We have mountain lions, but they're not so good at building community. And it takes us women to do that. And that's why I'm so excited. Many of us are about now having women elected to public office in the numbers that they have never been, women of color doing all this great stuff, being recognized. Whatever made people think that by excluding an entire sex, not to mention ethnic groups and so on, that it would be better. Yeah. No, it's just not.
Yeah.
It's way better.
Hopefully
it's like
we'll
the food.
See. Yeah.
when you have more texture, more color, more intelligence, more wisdom of different kinds coming together, you got good stuff.
Yeah.
And we're starting to see that, but oh man, do we have work to do?
We have work to do.
So much work to do.
Yeah, we have work to do. It's almost like balls juggling up in the air. We just gotta stop dropping them. I don't know if that's a good analogy, but we'll think about that.
I don't know.
That might not be a good one.
But eating well,
yeah,
and eating happily and having people around your table laughing and telling stories is the best.
I think this has been great because it's almost like the nucleus of it all,
I think so.
Taking care of yourself and then having a community around you that you're helping to do the same. And then, like you said, you're teaching, you're training, and then you're sending your army out, so to speak.
There's a humility in it that I really like. I mean, as women, especially all over the world, we're all thinking so many of the same things, different languages.
Yeah.
And there are different ways of being around with your children and so on, but we're all in it for the same reason.
We are.
We want community. We want kids, whether they're ours or our grandchildren or someone else's children. We want them to be fed and warm and happy and grow up healthy. And that is not going to happen if we let the men do that.
Okay. Yes.
So
tell us where everybody can reach you when this podcast is done. How do we get in touch with you? Your website, your email, or whatever you want to give everybody.
Thank you. LynnBowman.com, LynnBowman.com. Look me up, Google me, find Brownies for Breakfast.
Yes.
That's the name of the book on Amazon. Or if you have an independent bookseller that you like, you will help me if you go in and say, I want that fabulous book, Brownies for Breakfast. And your independent bookseller can buy it where they buy books wholesale. So it would be great if they would get it for you, order it to have in their stores. I don't necessarily want everyone buying it on Amazon. I mean, it's there. Right. You can do it.
Right.
It's available there. You can read reviews on Amazon, which will give you a sense of it. You can download the book very inexpensively. Mm-hmm. If you sign up on my website, I will let you know when there will be free downloads of the book. I try and do that periodically.
Nice.
Because I want everybody to have it. Unfortunately, it costs me quite a bit of money to print the books and have them sent to you physically, but I want you to have it in your kitchen if you possibly can. And if not, download it. It's inexpensive and you can use it that way. So, and talk to me, send me email, Lynn@lynnbowman.com. Love to hear from people. Love to get questions about how do I do this? How do I make, it's all great conversation.
Yeah.
And tell me what you think. I'd love for you to have the book in your hands and YouTube. Got YouTube's out there. Instagram. Yeah. On Instagram, on Facebook. So, and my author name is Lynn Parmiter Bowman, kind of hard to, it's LYNNE PARMITER Bowman. But if you just Google Lynn Bowman, you'll find me.
You will pop up. Yeah.
I will pop up. There are a couple of other Lynn Bowmans out in the world, but you'll see the book related to my name. And I want to hear from everybody. I love that.
Nice.
It's so fun doing these podcasts.
Yes, it is so much fun. I am learning so much. The great thing about it is the things you're looking for and aching for, we just got it. I mean, we just got it. You got the answer. I've been grappling with this whole idea for a while, so I love it. Thank you so much. I am going to get the book.
Oh, thank you. And
definitely.
Let's do this again anytime you want. I am absolutely available to do this. My favorite thing to do. Yes. I'm all for it. Let's do it.
Yes. Yeah. And we're never too old, and we're not done till we're done.
Nope.
So thank you so much, Lynn.
Thank you.
Until next time.
Till next time.